Welcome to Closing the Gap, the show for real estate agents who want to build a better business and a better life. Your host is Steve Stowe, accountant, advisor, and the guy who'll give you a second set of eyes on your numbers. Every week, Steve brings you a conversation you can actually use, the kind that helps you close the gap between where your business is and where you want it to be. So, huddle up, real estate pros. Here's Steve.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back this week. This week, we have an insurance agent on the podcast with us. So you're probably asking yourself, hey, why an insurance agent? Well, stick with me because my guest, Geremie Fiorini, Farmers Insurance, he sees a side of the business that you rarely get to see as a realtor. Lenders, title companies, inspectors, insurance, they all form quiet opinions about which agents they trust and which they don't. So today, we're going to talk about becoming referable from the outside in. So it's from the people that watch how you work as a realtor. Some of what he's noticed might actually surprise you. So without further ado, let me introduce Geremie Fiorini. How are you, Geremie?
Thank you. Hi, how are you?
Excellent. It's good to see you
today.
today.
Great pronunciation of an Italian name too. I appreciate that.
It's all the time I spend in Italy.
Yes.
So it's
shows.
I'm holding my craft. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been with Farmers? All that good stuff.
So I was in the corporate world for about 16 years. Life changes. February of 2022, I started my own agency. I was traveling a lot for work. Kids are getting older, so I wanted something that I could really just stay home, be with the family more. So it'll be 5 years in February that I've had my agency.
So tell me about the good times and the bad times.
Good times and bad times. Rates are always going up, and when rates go up, it's always the bad time. Hopefully, we don't have another time period like COVID because it was tough. It really messed with the rates. It really kind of threw a monkey wrench into the gears. And when the rates go high, a lot of people are just focusing primarily on how much does it cost. And I'm not saying that we can charge $10,000 a year for premium, but there is an age-old saying of you get what you pay for. And something as a large investment as your home, which is probably the biggest investment that you're going to have, you want to make sure that you've got a reputable carrier that's insuring it for you.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. So tell us a little bit about how you built your business to the point it is now. What was your strategy?
So, well, this could be a little bit of the personal side. So when I was in the corporate world, I've been with Farmers predominantly since I was 16. I come from a small town, and I can still remember my parents' insurance agent, Clarence Jacobs, was their personal agent. So, I mean, you got a couple times here and there in college, and when you're out of college that you kind of find what you can, but ever since I was 16, I've been with Farmers, and it's a brand that I know. It's a brand that I love. And when I left my corporate job and kind of just soul searching on what I wanted to do, I was pretty good friends with my insurance agent, who becomes close friends with your insurance agent. And he was the one that actually planted in the seed of you should have your own agency. And you're good with people. You have your own business. I love being part of the community. So after I met with him, I went to talk to my wife, and we prayed about it, talked it over, talked to my father about it, and moved forward with Farmers. And so I became a Farmers insurance agent.
Very good. Most agents, when they think about most real estate agents, when they think about insurance, it only becomes top of mind at the closing table.
Correct.
Where do you actually sit, in the client's home buying journey?
I would think those are great questions because not a lot, but you start building kind of your power partners and realtors, and you start you know how each other work. But the minute somebody is ready to start buying, obviously they go find a realtor, and then the lender, and then obviously the insurance guy is typically the last. But if you've got 4 or 5 properties that you're eyeballing, it's always good to have an agent that's working in the behind the curtains, pulling those loss records and seeing what's what the property is, or how is it insurable? What's the premiums look like? So giving yourself a lot of time ahead. If you've got a good agent, it doesn't take but 5 minutes to just get an address, start looking at the property, and actually get an idea of what you're looking at on your premium. And I think that right there will be uh, it's good information on if you're teetering between two different properties or something.
Yeah. So what are some potential differences that would cause like different rates
Well,
when you're house shopping?
the one that I see the most with new buyers is they get excited, as they should. It might be first time home buyers. They get tunnel vision because they see, their family, and they want the, oh, this is perfect. It's the great community. And I think one of the um, little kind of unknown secrets is that a loss on a property is not only on the property, but it's also on the person that made the claim. For example, if I made a claim on my home now has a claim, and when I go to buy a new home, now I have a claim on myself. So I know that, but if the people that are coming to buy my home, they don't know that I have claims on my home. And so when you go to work the insurance, and every carrier has their requirements, but it's it's in our industry, carriers have definitely started tighten the belt on what are acceptable losses. And if there are multiple losses of the same claim, like two water losses in, let's say, 5-year history, some carriers aren't going to accept that, and you will be ineligible for a policy from them. And it all depends. Carriers are different from each carrier and what they accept, but it definitely does start limiting your options on what you can choose. And
It's interesting.
you might have to start leaning towards just a sub quality carrier, because they'll be like, well, we'll take it, and some of the most credible carriers have stricter guidelines. And what I've seen in the past is, and I guess the paradigm too is, oh, agents just try to talk us out of a claim. That's not true. Your insurance is there so that you don't go financially broke. All right. But we need to realize that insurance, it's not a home warranty. I've always told my clients that if I'm backing out of the garage and I scrape my truck on the side of my garage, am I going to be upset? Yeah, but I'm not going to go financially broke paying $2,500 to fix it. If my kids cook brownies on a pan in the microwave and I got an $87,000 fire in my kitchen, I don't have the means to pay for $87,000. So we always want to make sure that we're making the claims on what we need, which then ties into a lot of people will make frivolous claims in the past. Well, it was a water loss. Well, whether that water loss was $2,500 or $50,000, and I've seen this where if you have two small claims in the matter of 5 years, a water loss that was like 3,000, and then 2 years later you had a water loss that was $2,700. We're talking about $6,000 over 5 years, and that just made you ineligible for a lot of the top carriers because you have two of the same claims in the past 5 years. And
So Jeremy, you bring up a really, really, I think this is a really powerful point, and that is that insureds or home buyers or even real estate agents, they get tunnel vision about just insuring the property, and they
yeah,
never really think about their own loss history.
yeah. And I think that's what a good agent does to you, is to just talk about options, not to talk you out. I'm never going to talk anybody out of a claim. At the end of the day, my clients are the boss. They want to make a claim, they can make a claim. But I'm here to just say, are we able to, if it's something that's going to put us in financial disarray, absolutely, let's make a claim. But if we're able to mitigate this loss, you know, on our own expense, I would definitely choose to go that route because it just keeps your loss history cleaner.
Yeah. So that brings up a really good point. As a realtor dealing with a home buyer, does it make sense to actually ask the home buyer about their loss history before we
So
start looking for homes?
I got to watch my wording on here because I don't know the real estate rules, but I do know, and I hear, you're around them all the time. I'm hearing a lot of real estate agents that are asking for, um, like my wife, she's in real estate. So they call it the loss letter, or the clue report is also terms. In the insurance world, we call it a letter of experience. Letter of experience can show up to 5 years, all the claims that were made. So anytime a client of mine is selling their home and they reach out to me like, Jeremy, my real estate agent's asking for the clue report or a loss letter. Do you know what he's talking about? And I'm like, yeah, it's called a letter of experience. And it's a certified letter from the carrier saying, this is Farmers and we've had your policy from X date to X date with no losses. Um, that should be probably the first thing you get. When I see a house and I'm leaning like, ooh, I like this one. All right, next question. Does it have any losses on it? And if so, how
You're talking
many?
about the home itself.
Yeah. Yeah. Were there any
Okay,
claims on this home in the past 5 years?
got it.
Because Mr.
Yeah,
and home buyer aren't going to know, they're going to get a surprise when they go get their insurance quoted for them.
right. And that usually happens at the closing table, and by then, that's going to cause a real nightmare,
Well, it
right?
it
At the
shouldn't
closing table.
it shouldn't be. If you're writing a policy at the closing table, then you definitely need some better people in your corner. I'm working with a handful of clients right now that they're looking to buy in September. So I like to be a month out. That would be great. They get to me first. We cross our T's, dot our I's, make sure everything's good. That way I have the policies in place ready to go, and we can always make adjustments as it goes, but there's no surprises.
So, what if you had to speak to all the real estate agents and say, "Hey, agents, you should be telling your buyers about it. What about insurance before closing day? What should they be
Um,
telling them?"
the main thing would be the letter of experience. That would be top. Um, the first question I would ask. Um, the next, which kind of pertains more to the lenders, but sometimes when the lenders, they've got to make sure the numbers work. And if you're buying and premiums change, rates are different from zip code to person. I mean, there's so many factors that are there. And let's say the lender and the real estate agent are factoring X amount of dollars for their insurance, but it's really Z amount of dollars. Well, I need you to make the premium. We don't have the ability to make it cheaper other than change coverages and or raise deductibles, which are options. But if you start early on the process, just like any business though, if you start early, there's going to be no surprises, and you'll just be able to know what your options are.
That's great advice. So, you work alongside a lot of agents, would be I would guess. What separates the ones you feel good working with versus the ones that you try to avoid? What's the
The
difference?
the the thing that sticks out the most to me is just communication. And again, you'd think that this could be or should be just common knowledge with any business and any practice is just communication. Um, and I get it. We're busy, and real estate agents, at least for what I see on social media and the friends I have, they're all over the place. I get it. Um, but a lot of kind of, I don't want to say pressure, but if we don't hear about it, and at the 11th hour I'm getting emails or text messages like, Jeremy, I need the EOI, I need the, well, you guys never sent me over the, it's like just the communication of, I always try my best that when a lender or a real estate agent reaches out to me, I want to make sure that within 24 hours they're getting the proper documents in their hand so that the ball's back in their court, that they can come back and change. But sometimes I've seen 1 week, 2 week, 3 weeks go by and they're like, oh, hey, we need to make adjustments. It's like, wow, we just had 3 weeks to do this. And now you're asking me 2 days before closing, can we, because there's a lot of things that the client's moving into the property. You think they're thinking about insurance and all this? They've got an hour's worth of closing signatures to do. They don't want to talk to me. So I try to have my ducks in a row a good 2 or 3 days before closing, so they don't have to think about what I need. And so would help me out is if we could do this a good week or two prior to closing and just make sure we've got all the documents, the reconstruction cost estimator, the EOI, mortgagee clause is all listed on there, everything that they need. And that way, if we did need to and I make tweaks, there's definitely, but at least it's just minor adjustment at the time.
Hey everyone, it's Steve again. Here's a quick word about what I actually do all day. I run a bookkeeping business, and realtors are my favorite people to work with, so I put together a package just for them. Monthly categorization in QuickBooks, clean reconciliations, and tax-ready reports, all backed by an advisor who actually picks up the phone. And here's something just for listeners of this show. Sign on as a client, and I'll cover your Monarch Money subscription, the tool that finally separates your personal and business spending, free for as long as you're with me. Plans start at a simple, flat monthly rate, about $10 a day. So if you're tired of tax season being a fire drill, come talk to me at Apex Accounting and Advisory. Now, back to our show.
So what's something an agent does that, maybe without even realizing it, that quietly makes you lose confidence in them?
That's a great question. Because I haven't really met too many bad real estate agents.
Or something that says,
I think it would be more.
They do something, you're like, I'm not going to work with that person again.
I think, and this is just more on this, take the insurance world out of it. It might be just more of a personal touch. And I get it, different strokes, different folks. Everybody's got their way they run their business. But I hate, in the insurance world, we're here to grow our business and we're here to write a policy. I get it. Just like real estate, just like lending. But there's been times I've had customers that call me, first talk to them on the first day, and then within minutes are like, all right, let's do this. I'm like, I tell you what, I emailed this over to you. I would really like you to look this over, and then let's talk tomorrow or schedule a time so we can go through and discuss. If I feel like if I'm rushing them or somebody's rushing me, I just don't like that. And if there was something that I would pick on that personal trend of mine is if I see a real estate agent that's rushing the client on, oh, this is the best property, that one right there would be a red flag for me. Because I feel that my job is to find not what's in the best interest for me in the Fiorini agency, but for the client. And there's a lot of times that I've advised clients, listen, you're in the best policy right now. I think you should just stick right there. I feel that I would want my real estate agent to do the same of listen and know their stuff about the loss history. This is a great property. I know you're eyeing this, but here's some options over. Just making sure you give options and not pushing towards one thing.
Yeah,
I guess.
Great point.
But that's more on a personal note than, as an insurance agent.
Well, knowing you, as long as I've known you almost 3 years now. So I've known you, almost as long as you've owned the agency. And
Yes.
what I know about you is that relationships are important. So what makes a partnership really valuable and makes it more relationship driven than transaction driven for you? What does that look like?
Relationship driven with real estate agents, and unfortunately, fortunately for me, and this is just the way it is, that the relationship between an insurance agent and a real estate, the flow typically is stronger from the real estate agent to the insurance agent. There's just it's a fact. So I wish it was me giving more referrals to my real estate partners, but they're the ones that are in front of the people. But I do believe what makes a strong partnership is, well, for me, anybody that comes to me with a referral, I'm their top priority. So I would want my partner to have that same mindset if I refer somebody to them. That I'm not saying that the whole business stops just for this one person. I get that, but there definitely should be. They're staking my name. They're staking their name on their client. So I want to make sure that I'm not making myself look good, but I'm making that real estate agent look good too. I want them to know, I want the client to feel confident that's like, wow, this real estate agent really knows their stuff. And I feel so much better having Geremie as an agent or a lender, whoever, referral partner. So to answer your question, and long story short, is just to keep your word. Say who be honorable, be transparent, have no hidden agenda, have the client's best interest at heart, and I guarantee you that it's gonna come back to you.
So one thing I know about you, you've done a really good job of building a referral network, and I don't mean just realtors. I mean outside the industry as well. Restoration companies, plumbers. You've done a really good job of building a referral network. What was the key to that for you?
Kind of piggybacking off of the previous question, it's just keeping your word. That's going to be the number one. But I will say it's a line from Training Day, one of my favorite movies, is this is chess, this ain't checkers. If you are going to referral groups and network groups and let's say you got a job as a whatever and you got to go meet, don't think that person's people buy from people. So if you go into it again without a hidden agenda, when I meet people and some of my power partners that I have, I never once went into this thinking, give me your policy. Some of my closest friends, I never go into that. They know what I do. My name's on the name's on my shirt. Once they feel comfortable, people buy from people. And for me personally, this isn't like a pair of shoes or something. And everybody doesn't like the whole fact of insurance to begin with anyway. And we're insuring their most valuable thing. So it's a very, very personal transaction. So you're playing with emotions. I've never seen more emotions in this industry than I have in my past because it was something tangible, a product, not a service. And when it comes to a service and you're protecting their most important, valuable thing, I wear that close to I take pride in knowing that whoever gives me a referral, I'm going to take care of them and give them the attention they need.
That's such a mindset shift because oftentimes people think of insurance as just as necessary evil, right? It's just like, oh, the only reason I have insurance is because I have to. But really, what I just heard you say is, what I really heard you say was, hey, we're protecting the things that are most valuable to you. That's a mindset shift.
Yeah. Yeah. Insurance, when you get your state license and you have to get all through the test, there is the part in there and it talks about, again, people think insurance is like a home warranty, and that's not true. Insurance is so that you don't go financially broke, but we do have to understand this is our stuff. Things break, windows break, kids throw balls through windows, is fixing it going to financially break you? No, on that. But again, going to an $80,000 fire in my kitchen, yeah, I don't have $80,000 cash to go fix that. That would put my life and my family in disarray. And that's what insurance is for.
And it's more than this thing that the lender is requiring you to carry.
Yeah. Yes.
So if I'm a new agent, a new real estate agent, just getting into the business, I want to start building relationships with lenders, insurance agents. What's the best way for a new real estate agent to approach you to build a relationship?
I would say be consistent, be humble, be energetic, don't be pushy. Insurance, we get them a lot. The restoration, we get all of them coming in the doors. And the ones that have broken through have not just stopped at, just like in any sales, you just don't stop after the first no. You just come back and you're always there and you're always available. And you do what you say you're going to do. Those are the ones that I think would be, and I would take that advice with building any referral partner, just not insurance.
Yeah, that's what I mean. This beyond real estate agents.
Yeah. Be consistent. Yeah. Be consistent, be humble, be available, and be transparent, be honest. These are things that are just regular, general life knowledge.
Well, you would think it's general life knowledge, but I don't think it's that common, actually.
You would.
So how often do you stay in touch with, your referral network? What does that look like?
Jeez, I could safely say weekly because there's a lot of networking groups that I'm in that are weekly. But realistically, some of these guys have become some close friends. It's not just with the business; it's outside of the business. One particular power partner of mine is helping me in other areas and it has nothing to do with what she does on during the day. So it's you build up a trust with these people. You're gonna get your money back more, worth its weight in gold. So whether or not it's in business or
Right.
friendship or anything.
Yeah, I
So
think reputation is important, right? We build trust, it builds a reputation.
yeah,
And reputation, what we know about reputation, can be torn down in 5 seconds.
oh yeah, that in my past life, we used to say that all the time. Is spend years to build a reputation, and just one small act can destroy that whole thing, and then you got to build it
Yeah,
back up. Yes,
yeah,
consistency. Going back to consistency and just being transparent.
very good. Good example. So let's talk about your relationship with real estate agents. Back to that. So what's one thing that a real
Okay.
estate agent could do that makes your job easier?
I'm going to keep going back to that communication and just being proactive. Don't ever put an insurance agent, um, back up against the wall saying, I need this and I need it tomorrow. Can it be done? Yeah, but um, I think a lot of things fall back. Real estate agents, they have repeat customers. I'm not saying that they don't have repeat customers. Person buys a home, 3 years later, they sell a home. But for the most part, they have a client, they sell their home, they move on. Lenders are the same thing. They could have repeat, but they have. I think a lot of people don't realize, and why I try to keep my game high on doing what I do is once they sell the policy, once they sell the home and the lender closes, guess who they're with for hopefully years? Me. I'm the one that every year I've got it. I'm the one that they keep coming in contact with. So it makes me feel better if everything is smooth with the real estate agent and the lender, because then it doesn't put any egg on my face when the policy's in force for years to come,
Yeah, yeah,
so it just makes the whole process more cleaner and better for the client. So because I'm the one that has to work
yeah,
with them,
yeah.
and I like to have a very clean, everything look clean and documents in on a time. I don't like being rushed. We can do that. We accommodate it, yes, but it's not ideal.
So what is one myth about insurance that you'd like to just kill forever?
The biggest myth that I think right now, and I see it on social media, and I don't know if these are AI generated ads, but that they're trying to steer a lot of clients away from agents, any agents, a broker agent, farmer's agent, any agent, because there's the paradigm that we get the majority of the premium. And I'm here to tell you that's just not true. We get such a small part of the premium um, that I think it's imperative that everybody should have a trusted advisor agent on their side talking to them. If you like that, talking on a 1-800 number, and hit 1 if you would like to speak to claims, to punch 2 if you want this, or please speak louder. I can all that. If you like that stuff, by all means. But I definitely think it's in the best interest for every homeowner to have an actual agent on their side, of talking about their coverages, being transparent about their coverages, being thorough about what their coverages do and don't do. And then just the number, going back to basics, picking up the phone, just being there available when they have a question.
Who doesn't like just dealing with a chatbot?
Oh, well, I don't, but we do it all the time because that's what, when we have to call a carrier, that's what we do. So we do all that for you.
Good. Well, Geremie, I appreciate your time. And it's just, thanks for coming on.
No, I thank you for having me.
I've known you, like I said, for a couple of years. And when I think of somebody that's high integrity, high relationship driven, I often think of you. So I appreciate your time.
I appreciate that. You as well. You
All
as
right.
well.
Thanks, everybody. We will see you next week. All right, everyone. That's a wrap on my conversation with Geremie Fiorini of the Farmers Insurance Agency. Here's what I want you to sit with. Every deal you're in has other pros watching how you work. The lender, the title rep, the inspector, the insurance agent like Geremie, they're all forming a quiet opinion about whether they'd put their name anywhere near yours. And you usually never hear that opinion out loud. Today you did. Being referable isn't just about wowing your client. It's about how you show up to everyone else in the transaction, because those are the people who talk about you when you're not in the room. The return call, the honest heads up, the promise you actually kept. Those are the deposits into a reputation you can't see, but everybody else can. So here's your one move this week. Pick one power partner, a lender, a title rep, an inspector, anyone, and reach out with zero asks attached. Just a genuine thank you or a quick, how can I make your job easier? That's how you start to become referable yourself to your whole network, not just your clients. That's it for this one, folks. If it helped, share it with an agent who needs to hear it. New episodes drop every Monday. And if you ever want a second set of eyes on your numbers, I'm right here at Apex Accounting and Advisory. The link is in the show notes. And make sure you follow our newsletter. Talk soon.
Thanks for listening to Closing the Gap with Steve Stowe. If you got something you can use this week, follow the show wherever you're listening. That's how these conversations reach the next agent who needs them. And if your books are stressing you out, or you just want a second set of eyes on your numbers, there's a free consult waiting at Apex Accounting and Advisory. No pressure, no pitch, just help. Steve shows up here every Monday. We'll see you next week. Keep closing the gap.